Hello, I am Megan and welcome to Battle Royale with Cheese, the website you can get all of your TV and film news reviews and trailers. And I went to an early screening of the new SpongebobSquarepants film last night. My local cinema was showing a one-off early screening for SpongeBob Search for Squarepants. I am a huge fan of SpongeBob SquarePants. Admittedly, I haven't watched the show in a while. I sort of dip in and out of an episode, so I'm not too knowledgeable with the recent series. But the original series is what I grew up with ever since I was a kid. I've watched nearly all of the films. I think the only one I didn't watch was the Plankton movie, which was the last one. But I've seen all the other ones. I enjoy the first two films, and then after that, it kind of goes a bit downhill. But I really enjoy the show. And I'm a really huge fan, so I was quite excited to go to this. So SpongeBob Search for Squarepants follows SpongeBob, Patrick, Mr. Krabs and Squidward as SpongeBob, in an attempt to become an adult and a big guy, decides that he's going to follow along with the Flying Dutchman without realising that the Flying Dutchman wants to take SpongeBob to the underworld to break his 500-year curse. So this is the first SpongeBob film we've actually had in cinemas for a few years now. The last one was Sponge on the Run, which, from what I remember, was in cinemas in 2021. This got delayed because of lockdown. It's supposed to release in 2020, but obviously didn't. But that is the last film that was in cinema. So this is why I was quite excited for this one. Plus, this focuses on the Flying Dutchman and his pirate crew, which is something that, again, the series and the films haven't really focused on. Yes, we've had a couple of episodes to do with the Flying Dutchman, but it hasn't really focused on actually what his backstory is and what his history is. So that's also why this took an interest with me. And I overall did enjoy this. I don't think it's anything amazing, but I did have a good time with this. There was a couple of moments that actually did laugh out loud. And yeah, it didn't keep me bored at all. I was never bored during this. I actually had a really fun time with this. Granted, I don't think it's amazing, but at the same time, I am someone who holds the first two films with really high regard compared to the others, so I also have to remember that as well. This is not going to be near the quality of the first two films, so I have to remember that. But I still had a really fun time with this. I still think it's really fun. And there were a few moments in this and a few jokes actually that did remind me of the original three series, like the original ones, which I quite liked. So there were, a few modern jokes, and I did get a little bit worried at first. But there were a few scenes and quite a few jokes that really felt like the original show that I really liked. So I like it's keeping the modern, more recent series, but remembering where it originally came from, which I really liked. It was a good mixture. And Mark Hamill plays the Flying Dutchman, and I really enjoyed his performance. I actually originally thought it was the original actor. It was annoying me the entire time because he did such a good impression of the original voice actor that I did think it was the original cast for the Flying Dutchman. It's not, but that just shows that he actually did a really good job with the impersonation and impression of the Flying Dutchman's original voice, and really showed that he can be a really threatening character, but also very manipulative. And I'm not going to do spoilers for this one at all, but especially since this is an early review as well. So yeah, no spoilers, but it was interesting to see, one, how easy SpongeBob went along with the Flying Dutchman, but also how manipulative and charming the Flying Dutchman could come across, and Mark Hamill's voice work really sold that. Like I said, the whole reason that SpongeBob goes along with the Flying Dutchman is to break the Flying Dutchman's curse, but for SpongeBob, he is told, oh, if you follow me, then I'll teach you how to be a man, and and how to be, what do they call it? I think it was a swogglebucker or something. A swashbuckler? It was something like that, like a warrior. Like, oh, I teach you how to be tough and be a man. And I will admit, the first act sort of sets this up rather slowly, actually, which I was quite surprised at. Given how fast-paced SpongeBob the show is, I was expecting it to be a bit quicker. but it did take a while to kind of get into what the plot actually was. And for the first act, I did think, yeah, it was quite slow, and I did get a little bit worried when that plot was introduced, where he wants to be big and brave, and he wants to be a big guy and a big adult and tough. And I was like, this is starting to feel a little bit like the message of the very first film. But thankfully it did go into its own plot, which is about the Flying Dutchman's curse. So it ended up using the previous film's messages and morals to bounce off into a new plot, which, again, at first I was a bit worried about, but I think it actually worked. It's just that the first act is a bit slow-paced compared to the show. So stick with it and you'll actually have a really fun time. The other thing I didn't like, and this is something I haven't really liked pretty much after the second film, while the show has a 2D animated looking style, for some reason ever since the second film, the films have had this sort of 3D rubbery effect, like, and style, which, while it looks nice, it doesn't really... I've never thought it worked for the SpongeBob films, because you've still got that juxtaposition of the series having that 2D looking style. It's very, very jarring going from that to this. And I don't personally like it. I think if it was any other film, I'd be okay with it, but because it's SpongeBob, because the series has a definitive look, it does feel a bit jarring to go into the films and with that art style, and to jump back and forth between them. It's not anything, you know, this was probably a bit more of a nitpick than anything else, but it's something to point out at the same time. I don't really know why they keep choosing this animation style for the films compared to the series, but yeah, I don't particularly like it. And then lastly, just so you know, there is actually a short film before the main feature, which I didn't know about. This wasn't on my ticket or cinema details or anything. This wasn't even on the website. So I don't know if this was just for this particular screening. I went to a subtitled screening, so I don't know if that was just for this one or whether that's going to be for future showings. But there is a Ninja Turtles short film before this, which I do just want to comment on quickly. The whole idea was that it's set at Christmas and the group are trying to find a Christmas present for Splinter, and one of them decides to use, I think it's Donatello, decides to use ChatGPT, to which the others are a bit like, why are you doing that? Like, what? And then they find out that a company has actually done AI looking toys based on them, but every detail is wrong. They don't look right, their names are weird, and they go to the company and basically find out the company's like CEO is a robot that is making AI stuff. Now originally, I think it's because I didn't expect the short to be there, but originally I did kind of roll my eyes and go, oh, okay, here we go. Like, they're gonna pander to modern times and stuff like that. But I did kind of think about it and think, I do think it's important for some films to do that if it works. I think the Ninja Turtles worked for this because they are teenagers. They're going to be trying out new technologies, and some younger people may not be aware of the problems and issues that comes with using generative AI and ChatGPT. So actually, at first I was rolling my eyes, but I was like, no, I get it. I feel like we need to have this kind of messaging, which is essentially like, you know, Gen AI is bad. I think we do need those kind of messages in these films, especially with a studio that is so against it. And even at the time that I'm recording this, Disney have just announced that they've just done a partnership with, I think it's Sora or Open Sora. So I do feel like these messages and being told like, hey, maybe don't use ChatGPT, maybe don't use generative AI, because it's actually really bad for the environment, and it's a thief. Essentially, it's based off theft. I think that is important to put into a young person's or kid's cartoon and film. It's for educational purposes, but also there's entertainment there as well, because it was an entertaining short film. But yeah, I wanted to comment on that one as well quickly, and just say there is a short film beforehand, which is the Ninja Turtles one. I didn't really mind it, but I still feel like if you're not expecting it, it's important to just bring that up. But this was my review on SpongeBob Search for SquarePants. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Couple of issues with it, but I overall had a good time. I thought it was quite fun, and I thought some parts were very reminiscent of the original series. But I was Megan, this is Battle Royale with Cheese. See you soon.